Morning everyone. My name's Leslie Goodburn. I chair the People in Partnership group at Hospice UK as a patient carer rep. I'm with my colleague Claire Henry, who's Director of Transformation and Improvement, and Roberta Lovick, who has lived experience of end-of-life care. We're really pleased to be here today. We're going to take you through our Fresh Eyes walkthroughs and give you a little bit of background. So 51% of all UK deaths are in hospitals and hospices. Death, dying, grief and bereavement are everyday occurrences in hospitals and hospices, and it's important that hospitals and hospices provide good quality, compassionate end-of-life care, and understanding patient and carer perspectives is really crucial in doing that. In 2014, my husband Seth died from pancreatic cancer. I started to share that story and became involved with the National Council for Palliative Care and then Hospice UK with an absolute passion to change things for people who are experiencing that journey, that final journey of end-of-life care. So the aim of Fresh Eyes walkthroughs was to improve the experience of family and friends whose loved ones were dying in a hospital or a hospice. It was adapted from the 15 Steps Challenge that some of you might be familiar with. It was adapted, it was led by patients and carers, so it was developed, tested, we did some PDSA cycles, we changed the way that we did things, but it was all driven by patients and carers, working with alongside professionals both from Hospice UK, NHS Improvement, and the hospital trusts and hospices that we worked with. So it deliberately looked at the aesthetics, the kinesthetics, it looked at the way things appeared to people, the smell, the experience for people coming towards the end of life, and importantly patient carers and people supporting them. So completely co-designed, People in Partnership. I'm going to hand over to Claire now, who's going to go through some of the detail.
Just to say some of the sort of theory behind it, we had a team of professionals and people with personal experience that worked together, and the whole approach has really evolved. So the latest round of Fresh Eyes that we've done, we've actually had, it's a bit of an arbitrary age, people under 30 and over 30, so we've had two people with personal experience, which has been great because I feel I'm a bit of a dinosaur, and it's great to have youngsters because they see things very differently to people my age. Practicalities, we had to sort out really practical things because with end-of-life care it's a sensitive issue. We need to make sure that we are looking at the right way and the support we give to each other, because even as health professionals we've got our own personal experiences and you never know what could be triggered. We give feedback there and then with the team, and what we do is we basically give feedback straight to the team and then we provide a report. The areas that we cover, and we do unaccompanied and accompanied, because we found if we were accompanied, the staff were whizzing us round. Could we actually find our own ways around things? You've all probably done this. So we started from the car park, very much focusing on emergency admission. So you're following your loved one with an ambulance. So could you park? Where was the information? Where was the advice? And then we did the accompanied side with staff, which was really enlightening. And staff kept saying to us, they all did admit that most of them had never been to the bereavement suite or the mortuary, and they had to go and find that before we actually came. So the impact, having that independent expert view, being very clear, though it's non-judgmental, it's really about improvement. It's not about saying good or bad, because we work with a lot of the trusts that were actually requiring improvement or were inadequate. So we needed to make sure that we were seen as empowering and supporting. As I said, I think it was that timeliness of the report and also the suggestions of what else could be improved. So it was like thinking, here we are, we've got a trust over here that's done some fabulous work. So we did a lot of that connecting together, which was fantastic. So examples, we've got tons of pictures. I could give you so many pictures of things that we've done. This was one of the hospitals. This is one of the relatives' rooms. You can see big, ugly furniture, couldn't be moved around, and this is what it changed into. Very low cost, really made huge differences to people. We also looked, and one of the great things we did was celebrate really great practice. People were so busy saying it's poor practice, we were celebrating great practice. So it was really good. And there's a quote from one of our teams to say what a big difference. And staff just said to us they hadn't noticed things that we'd noticed. Some of them very small, but if you're walking alongside you can see what that means. Some great environments, and again this is brilliant, linking in with the work that the King's Fund have done, looking at those peaceful, supportive environments. This is from chapel, also from areas, mortuary viewing areas, where people can just have some bit of time before they actually go and see their loved one. Really, really important. So this is some fantastic practice that we did see. Also thinking about that whole spiritual and sort of that faith. Where do we create that space? Where can people get that information? We saw some really useful information, and some of the sites didn't even know they got some of this great information because we were foraging around. So it was that great connection, which was really brilliant for all of us. Bereavement, we saw some amazing practice, such an unsung area of a lot of hospital trusts, amazing care, and also just thinking about some of those really practical things about how you return the loved one's belongings to the family. That can make such a big difference. We saw some awful things as well. So these were just some quotes that we had that really talk about what it meant, how it made a difference. The staff that we saw, really helpful, wanted to tell us things. People would tell us all sorts of things, which was absolutely brilliant. But we also did find some areas that, sort of range of issues, that some were really small to address, some much more needing further investment. These are some of the more grim areas. There was this corridor to, you see the corridor, that was the walk down to the mortuary. That's probably that is grim. We have got even grimmer, but we didn't want to put those up today to make you feel really depressed. But if you're going down there to view your loved one or visit your loved one, just imagine that walk. Horrendous. Most of them are down service corridors, and it can be really, really awful. A lot of spaces trying to be multi-purpose, but actually ended up just as a dumping ground and didn't serve anybody's purposes. And we like to call them these unloved corners, that if you're walking down and you're a relative, you're going to see them and you're going to think, how are they caring for my loved one in this hospital? Big areas, and love our colleagues who work down in mortuaries. What unsung heroes they are. Amazing care. Really supporting. Some of the ones I've seen, I would love them to care for my relative if they died there. Absolutely amazing. We did see some really grim areas, and we saw a lot. One of our big successes is that one of the hospitals got investment to completely redo their mortuary visiting room because it was so awful and grim. And the execs had never been down there, but they came down because we showed them it. So suddenly things were changing. And we've got lots and lots of examples of where the environments have changed, information has changed, which is fabulous. So, one of the key things are that we need to make sure that we're thinking, how do we improve the environment? How do we create quiet spaces? We found areas on wards that hadn't even got relatives rooms, nowhere for people to sit, trying to think about where they could get that support. Also thinking about the great practice of comfort. So I think we've got a lot of things that we've got there. The little things really, really do make the big difference. And we have gradually built this approach with end-of-life care. So I'd like to give the final comments to Roberta, who is one of our team, to talk about the fresh eyes.
It was such a privilege for me to be asked to take part in this initiative. I've worked for some 20 years on a voluntary basis to improve end-of-life care, and what better way to be at the coalface. And it was amazing to see what wonderful things took place, but also to see some particularly bad ones. But everybody was really responsive. They did things immediately. And I'm really pleased to say that, because my daughter died in accident and emergency on a busy Friday evening in full view of everybody. And for me, her body was as precious before she died as it was after. And I needed people to take care right to the very end till she actually left the hospital. That was paramount for me. And so to get this story across and to actually see people respond immediately was absolutely amazing. So, I've just got every admiration for this piece of work, and I was glad to be part of it. Thank you.